Jim Gaffigan, dude, you're on my Mount Rushmore of traveling like comedians.
Oh, well, thank you.
Maybe number one. You were going before anybody was going.
I effectively did international shows and never made a living. Whereas I think Bill Burr and Gabriel Iglesias and now Segura, they all make good money.
Yeah.
Whereas I was desired to make money, but I was much more interested in cultural thing and I love international cultures, but selfishly, I think it's good for writing. I mean, I think you and I have even talked about this. It's that perspective that you encounter in a different culture. Even if you're in the UK, you're like, oh my gosh, I guess it is weird that Americans do this.
Yeah, it kind of shows your own shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird where you're like saying completely something else. Where you're like, oh, I do it oddly different. Why do I do it different?
Yeah, and it's and you really kind of are you have to embrace the American identity. The reality. That dog's like a comedian, really kind of needy.
Really, it's like, come on, man. Why right when we started?
That's so cute.
You have to embrace. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was always cool. I was seeing you, and then you start selling tickets internationally too, which is
I mean, but nothing like Burr in London can really sell some tickets, but I was kind of, and I think we would cross paths, or I'd see you be going to Budapest, and I was just in Budapest, and I was also some of it is I would be with my family.
Different kind of trip.
Justifying so the cost imbalance, if you're a one person band, you could make a living, but if you're traveling with 5 kids, you're bleeding money.
Yeah, I won't even bring an opener out there.
Yeah,
I'd be like, no way.
Yeah,
also it's a chance to be alone, which is nice, but
yeah,
you're Irish, so
yeah.
Yeah, you got a family.
It's and I don't like groups, but I've got a family, but that's all right.
Tax deductible though. You make that whole trip tax
It's
deductible.
all good.
I was talking to Morrissey about it last week, and we were just talking about how it's just it's really afforded us a way to see everything.
Oh, absolutely.
They cover the flights. They tell you where to stay.
Yeah.
And then you go ahead from there.
Yeah. And you're jet lagged, so you half the time you're jet lagged, so you wander around the city, and you kind of, and it forces you, at least for me, it forces me to do some research. Oh. I've often, I'll do, because when I did the Pale Tourist, where I did shows, on Canada, I did Spain, I did Asia, and then I did one on Florida just because Florida's so unique.
We need one on them.
I did these little chunks. So I did 35 minutes on Florida, 30 minutes on Asia.
Whoa.
And then
in those places or just back?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And so it was really, but that self-assignment, some of that was prompted because my boys were learning Mandarin, so we went over to China a couple times. Yeah.
I mean, that might be the most usable language, but no one takes that.
It's, there's...
What?
There's you and I are probably the same age. So or maybe I'm older.
It's right close, yeah.
But when I was a kid, the language everyone took was either Russian or Japanese.
What?
Yeah.
No, we just have French or Spanish.
Oh yeah, no, well, just French or Spanish. But if you were if you were going to learn the language that we needed for business in the 80s, it was Japanese. And if you needed to know the language for World War III, it was Russia. It was Cold War. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I didn't do either of them, but there were kids that did do that.
I do remember that period where listen, it could go two different ways. We
Yes.
should just learn some Russian so we could be of service
Yes.
to maybe our new overlords.
Yes, and it's like Red Dawn, that movie. It's like, look, they might come over and take, And so, whereas like in the aughts or the 2000s, everyone's like, we gotta learn Arabic. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they were gonna like outbreed us.
And now it's like their Mandarin is going to be the biggest the Chinese are going to have the biggest economy eventually.
Yeah, yeah.
I was supposed to do a show in Cairo and it got canceled, but like
For what?
just stand up. And
No, I mean, why did it get canceled?
I think it got canceled because my kids,
Oh.
it was a Thanksgiving thing where I was going to do Cairo and maybe
Damn.
some other city, and then the family was going to meet me in Dubai or something like that. And then there was like one of the kids wouldn't have been able to go, so then I had to scrap the whole thing.
Do they expect to go now when they see your tour? They'll be like, especially like a last gig on a tour, they're like, obviously we're coming.
Well, if it's now they're older, it's so much more complicated. You know what I mean?
Do they appreciate how many places they've been?
I mean, yeah, maybe, but that was the other thing is that I'm convinced that being exposed to it, like going to Europe when I was like 10 or 11,
From Indiana?
from in Illinois at that point,
Yeah.
but like pivotal point.
What
in
brought
my
you there?
life. My parents did, my grandmother died. My parents, inherited some money. And so it was like 1976.
Yeah.
And I'm 10, and we all go to Europe. And we did, 7 or 8 countries. And it changed my life. Seeing, culturally, being in Rhodes, or in Italy, Montebene, the first exposure to like, now I only drink, sparkling water, but like that was the first time I tried out water and it was sparkling. I'm like, what is
What the
this?
fuck?
Do you know what I mean?
Wait, when you say it changed your life, like explain.
I think the perspective on different cultures and just an openness to like, people are just doing things differently. It's not necessarily, it's not weird. It's fascinating. So like even when, like we went to Copenhagen and, I've told this story before, but like we were in Tivoli Gardens and I was following my parents, which were these blonde people in cardigans, and so I'm following them. I'm eating this hot dog that has fried onions on it. And it was delicious. I'm obsessed with this hot dog. And then my parents turn around, and they're not my parents. And I look around, and it's all blonde people with cardigans. You know what I mean?
Like, oh fuck.
And so, and of course I'm exaggerating. Those kind of things where I was like, this is fascinating, like, or just so the travel, the different cultural things. So that's why I would do these international shows, like doing a show in.
What's the craziest one you've been to, or like among the craziest? Me and Bobby Kelly went to a festival in Copenhagen, and we're eating, and we see a stroller just on its own.
Oh yeah,
and we're like looking at it, we're like, where the fuck?
Yeah,
and then we asked the guy, it was like, hey. There's like a
standard.
baby.
Yeah.
And then he goes, yeah, I don't know, it's somebody's.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but
there was
just someone in a
thing.
store. They'll just like leave the baby outside. So it doesn't break anything.
There was a big thing in New York because I think a woman got in trouble. She was Danish and she did that. This is probably in the 90s.
It's just like, but who would steal a baby? Like, oh, we live in a different place than you.
Yeah.
So many people would steal a baby. When we got her, we have all these locals. We're like, don't leave it out. Like, they'll just grab it. Don't even tie it up nearby you. They'll grab it. And I'm like, what? They're just going to grab dogs?
Yeah. But I'm trying to think of the weirdest place. I mean, I don't know. Because I think
do you get like, when they're like, okay, we got a gig in wherever in Mongolia,
No. So, like, by the way, Andy Curtin, there is like a show there.
There is.
I
Yeah,
think
Rhodes has been there.
Tom Rhodes has been there, right?
You know Andy? Did he bring you
Yeah,
there?
yeah. Andy brought me to Moscow.
Wow.
So, yeah. So
Yeah, so like if they had said, "Hey, we got a gig for you there," are you immediately like, "Ooh, how can I make this work with my schedule?" Or
I wanted, some of it is the balancing act of how do I rationalize it, and does it work with my family? So like, I'm trying to think of like, maybe it's Oman or something like that.
Yeah.
Where it's just it would just be fascinating, right? Like, I mean, there's some Central Asian countries that would be really fascinating.
All these I really want to go to Tajikistan, and like I'm sure some of them are like super safe, but some of them like, no way can you go there. And I don't know the difference.
Yeah. I mean, the Armenians as a culture are so fascinating. I'd love to go to Armenia.
There must be, from what I know about them, no dents in any cars there.
Really? Well, some of it is like,
there's always one in LA. Like, I can knock that out for you for $50. And I'm like, all right.
no, like but like Kazakhstan
Where's
or
Armenia?
Mongolia, it's,
Where's
and
Armenia?
also all the people in China live here, right? I've never been to
Is this
Nepal.
Armenia? Oh, there's Armenia. You've never been to what? Yeah. What's all this where there's not even cities on the map? What is all that?
Yeah.
Are we just not aware of them, or is it just like wasteland?
I don't know. I have no idea. And we know there's all mountains here, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Where do you want?
But like, I think Andy, people go and do
Those
like there's
gigs.
cities with like 20 million people.
That's what they said when we did a show in Suzhou,
Yeah.
near Shanghai.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's like a sleepy. They know that like the sleepy neighbor of Shanghai is only like 10 million people here. It was like crazy,
so
and they
did it
feel like
feel
that.
like
It felt sleepy.
it did.
Yeah, but I'm like, this is a top 3 city in America.
Yeah. So crazy. Yeah, it's weird because you want to escape some of the touristy stuff, but you also, well, at least I like some of the comfort of the touristy
It's a
stuff.
balance, huh?
Yeah.
It's a real balance because you're like, I want it set up, but only for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to be able to, like when I was in Warsaw, I definitely want to get a pierogi, but I also, it would be great if I could have an English version of the menu. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Or have someone to explain it.
Where you been and where you going? This is Ari's travel show, yeah. We're gonna go on a journey today. See what there's to see in this big world. We're exploring different places, seeing all different types of faces. We're gonna talk about travel today. It's UB Trip.